Alright, so, today I'm going to explain to you a movie that I saw because apparently I'm really good at describing movies. Hold on. Any better? Alright, sure. Okay, so, again, the lighting is all kinds of fucked up here for this dude. Jack. Fucking shit. Does that do anything? Alright, cool. Alright, so I'm going to describe to you guys the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. So basically, this is a Quentin Tarantino movie, and for fucking whatever reason, Quentin Tarantino is actually in this movie like as an actor. And so basically, the plot line of this is that Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney are brothers, and they just robbed the bank, and they like killed a bunch of cops at the bank, and so like they're on the run because they have all this money. They're trying to get to Mexico because they killed like they're like at the bottom of the screen. There's like some little like body count of like army rangers they've killed and police they've killed and all this shit. And so they're doing all of this, and they're trying to get to Mexico. And basically they get to this like motel that's by Mexico, and well, first off, you realize that that one of them, the guy who's played by Quentin Tarantino, like it used to be a sex addict and was in jail for rape and all this stuff, and like they have a bunch of female hostages with them, and then like they in the very beginning of the movie, some crazy shit goes down at a gas station, and Quentin Tarantino gets a bullet shot through his hand, like a 44 or something like that, and like most of them just kind of like scamper out of there, and, except for one chick, and she is like some political person, I don't know, and like so she's the only one that got left, the only hostage they got left, and so they're driving along. Quentin Tarantino has a little fucking hole in his hand, and they get to a motel. Like I said, you have to remember that Quentin Tarantino's character used to be like a rapist and all this shit, and so they get to the motel, and they're like, "Shit, what are we gonna do? We can't get across Mexico with our car. They're tracing our car. They know what we look like. There's no way we're gonna get into Mexico right now. I don't know where we're fucking headed." So they're like, oh, what goddamn luck. And so this Winnebago pulls in, and it's got like this like nice little family, like a dad and two kids. The dad is like really old. He kind of looks like Robin Williams. He's like an ex-preacher. Like he was a preacher, but then his wife got killed, and he's like, oh, there is no God. So he's like an ex-preacher. Both of his kids are like in their 20s. Like no, because in the part of the movie, they're like 20 or something. And so like one of them and the dad and the sister are both white, and the brother is Asian or Chinese. Chinese. I didn't get that, but and so so George Clooney like leaves for a second, and then comes back. And first off, just so you know, like the whole movie, the guy that Quentin Tarantino plays is like the wild card character, because like back when he got his hand shot off, he didn't need to start a gunfight, but he just like pulls out his gun. He's like, oh, I was going to kill somebody. And so like you already know he's kind of fucking crazy. So George Clooney goes out for fuck knows what, comes back into the room, and he just like, where's the hostage lady? And he's like, oh, she's in there, but you probably shouldn't go in. He like walks in, and there's just blood everywhere, and she's laying on the bed naked, dead. He's just like, what did you do? And of course you kind of know. He's like, oh, he raped her and then killed the crap out of her, right? But he's like, no, she was trying to make a run for it. He's like, no, she wouldn't make a run for it. That's stupid. You're stupid. I hate you. And so, anyway, they go through all that shit. Nice white family, part white family or whatever is in the other motel room. They're at the Winnebago. So, like, George Clooney just, like, meanders on up there wearing his little suit and everything, looking all sketchy. And he's like, hey, we're your neighbors over there, and we don't have an ice bucket. And the guy's like, oh, sure. And, like, turns around to get the ice bucket. And as he turns around, George Clooney's like, yo, got a Glock, man. Yo, what? Yeah. And, like, the whole time, like, Quentin Tarantino is, like, having these, like, weird hallucinations because he's a rapist and stuff. And so, like, the chick walks in there, and she's like, this, kind of, prude, straight, Christian girl, the whole Christian. But Quentin Tarantino, like, is having hallucinations because he's, crazy. And so she walks in, and she just kind of gives him this weird look, but, like, in his head, she walks in, and she's like, oh, baby, eat my pussy. Anyway, so they're like, okay, so you're gonna drive your Winnebago across the border to Mexico, and you're gonna take us there. We're gonna fuck up shit up. And so they're like, oh, and so scary Scabby, they go, and they get over to the bar, and well, basically, so they get across the board. Now, let me tell you something real quick here. Cheech from Cheech and Chong plays 3 separate characters in this movie. Just throwing that out there. So this is where the first time where Cheech comes in. With basically, so they're like, okay, we're at the border now. We're about to go through fucking border patrol. So Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney go and get in the like Winnebago's bathroom with the chick, and it's like, oh, quiet, quiet, yeah, and they're not even border patrol's not even gonna check their damn Winnebago. Because Quentin Tarantino decides to just go wild card, and he's just like starts getting all noisy and shit. So George Clooney just like elbows him in the back of the face and throws him in the shower, and Cheech is playing the border patrol, and he's like, oh, what's that back there? He's like, oh, it's my daughter. He's like, oh, I thought you said it was just you and your son. He's like, yeah, me and my son and my daughter. He's like, oh, I guess I'm coming in to check it. And so he comes in to check it, and it like so basically George Clooney just like throws the body in there, and then George Clooney gets in the shower, closes the curtain, and like the chick just like takes off her pants and just sits on the toilet. So like she's just like expecting to see these two guys, and he just like opens the door, and the chick's like sitting there on the toilet, and she's like, will you get out? And he's like, oh, my bad. And so he walks out of there. They're fine, right? He's like, alright, so we're going to this bar, and that's where my friend is going to meet me. And dude, I don't even fucking remember what with the money. I don't know why they couldn't have just taken money, but they're doing something with this guy, and he's gonna meet him in Mexico, and this is totally essential. And so he's like, yeah, you're gonna meet us at this bar called the Titty Twister. They said you can't miss it. Christ, my computer is dusty. And so he's like, yeah, you can't miss it. So they like drive around for a little while. It turns night, and they like look over, and sure enough, they found a bar called the Titty Twister. It's like these giant things in the middle of buttfuck Mexico, and there's like flames shooting everywhere, and motorcycles, and shit's just going kooky, right? And like they get up there. Now they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna be home free. He's gonna meet us in the morning, and we're just gonna stay here and drink all night, and it's gonna be fantastic. And so, but then this is the second time that Cheech comes into the movie. They walk up, and like Cheech in the front steps of the bar, and he's just like talking about all the different kinds of pussy that they have. He's like, oh, we got black pussy, white pussy, horse pussy, cat pussy, dog pussy, wet pussy, dry pussy, smelly pussy, stinky pussy, and like all this shit. And like they just walk in, and he's like, you can't come in here. And so Quentin Tarantino and Robert Clooney just like beat the shit out of him, right? They walk into the bar, or they walk into it, and like they walk up to the bar, and they're like, oh, want some whiskey? And I can't remember his name. He's like really famous Hispanic actor. He was in Spy Kids. He was the head of Machete. Like he was the head act. He was a fucking, what I'm talking about. He was Machete. But he was like really young because it was in '96. This movie was made, right? And so then, basically, so they look up at me. They're like, oh, I want whiskey. So he like pours some whiskey and then drinks it himself. And he's like, you can't come in here. This bar is for truckers and bikers only. And like the old white grandpa looks up and he's like, I am a trucker. See that out there? That's my Winnebago. I am a trucker. And so he's like, oh, okay, sure. And so they like get in there, sit down, have a nice time. It like frames over to Richard Roundtree just trying to stack dominoes on the table while the chick is like getting her strip on. And so she's just fucking up, knocking his dominoes off the table. And he's just, he's kind of pissed off. And then, they have this like really cool mariachi band playing. And then there's strippers everywhere, and strippers like cocaine, obviously. And then they're like, oh, the time has come. It's the fucking hottest chick in the world. And so they bring in this chick who I can't remember her name. She was a chick in Wild Wild West, and like she comes in, she does like the best strip dance. She has like this giant snake on her neck, and like gets up there, gets on their table, and like puts her foot in Quentin Tarantino's mouth and like pours tequila down her leg, and it goes to his mouth, and it's like, oh, that's really fucking great. And then they're like, oh yeah, that's great, and then fucking God, this thing is dusty as fucking. And then Cheech walks in with like 3 other guys, and he's like, those little fuckers beat me up. And so they walk over there, and like what happens? Oh yeah, so they walk over there and they're like, oh, we're gonna kick your ass. So George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino pull out their guns and like shoot all of them, and they're like laying there dead. And then the oh yeah, no, they shoot everybody except for Cheech. Like not everybody in the bar, just like the 2 guys he was with. They shoot them, and the Cheech is just standing there, and he like starts laughing, and they're like, oh, something funny. So they shoot him, and then trying to remember the order of events here. Something happens. One of them gets stabbed in the hand with a knife, and then that chick turns into, like, the chick that just had the crazy strip dance, turns into some weird lizard-looking thing, bites Quentin Tarantino in the neck, and then and so, yeah, bites Quentin Tarantino in the neck, and they get her down, and, like, they shoot her, and all three of the guys that they just killed, including Cheech, get up, and they're like, oh shit, vampires! So they get into this crazy bar duel thing. Um, just another character in here that I don't remember when exactly it was that came in, but he's only known as Sex Machine in the movie. That's his character's name, and like there's a scene where like some guy, like he pulls out a whip and he like some guy's trying to take a sip of his beer and he like whips the beer and pulls it over and takes a sip and the guy's like, it really rustles my jimmies, and so like pulls out a knife and like Sex Machine just like pushes a little button and his belt buckle flaps down and there's like a revolver, like here's the barrel, like there's like a barrel and then like two revolvers right there, so it looks like a penis and testicles. Ah! And so like he puts his knife away and all that shit, and then so that goes. So he's one of the people there, and so there's vampires everywhere, and like you know how vampires when they die when they get staked through the heart with a piece of wood. So Richard Roundtree, being a badass, just up and takes one of the wooden bar tables, flips it upside down, and just picks up four of the strippers and just drops them chest first onto the legs of the table. There's like fire and shit everywhere. And then some crazy shit happens, and the stripper chick comes back to life, tries to kill George Clooney, and like pins him down. He like pulls out his revolver, he's like reloading it, and she's like giving him some speech about he's gonna die and eat horse shit and all that stuff. And he just like shoots the chandelier above her, and, like rolls out of the way, and she just gets like everywhere and shit, right? And then so all this crazy shit's going down, and then they realize that the bar is called Dusk Till Dawn because it's only open from dusk till dawn. Because everybody that works there is a vampire. And what they do is they come and like they basically steal. That's why it's only truckers and bikers, is because they steal the truckers' supplies and shit, and you know then kill them and shit. And so they do all that, and you know crazy brawl breaks out. They're killing vampires left and right. And then at this point, like, the dad gets bit, and then Richard Roundtree gets bit, and this was weird. Richard Roundtree turns into a vampire like fucking immediately. Dad gets bit, and he's fucking fine for like 10 or 20 more minutes of the movie. Anyway, the dad's like under the bar, like herp herp herp, and like sees a shotgun underneath, like you know, an adorable little pump action pistol grip shotgun, and this made me very happy because I had recently become under the impression that what bars keep under them is fucking M16s with grenade launchers and shotguns and silencers and heartbeat sensors and all this shit, because I recently had the bullshit honor of trying to play the game Call of Duty Black Ops, in which you're in the Bay of Pigs in Cuba, and you get into some crazy bar fight, and the dude pulls out from under the bar like some crazy M16 with scopes and grenade launchers and rocket launchers and shotguns and silencers and heartbeat sensors and a little, every other shot a chip pops out of the gun, it sucks your balls and all this shit, which you think, the only reason people keep guns under their bars is because of past experiences, and they usually keep shotguns because people, fucking try to get in their store. But no, I'm assuming that this bartender had to deal with somebody trying to rob him from like a few miles down the road, because that's why he had all this bullshit fucking Call of Duty doing. Now, moving off on a little tangent here, this is probably the most ridiculous game I've ever played. So, basically, like the first 10 seconds of the game were fucking awesome. You're sitting in a bar in Bay of Pigs, and like, some, I don't know, police or guards or something come up to you, and they're like, oh, identification. The guy in front of you is like, oh, play along. And like the guard like slams his hand out on the table, and he's like, ugh. And so your guy just pulls out a knife, stabs him in the hand, grabs a bottle of something, and breaks it over his head. And that was the coolest part of the game. And then they throw you the ridiculous assault rifle of doom. You go around doing kooky shit, and then some more other bullshit happens, and basically you get to a point in the game where you're all fucking done with the Bay of Pigs.